Whenever I come across keyboard instruments or sheet music, my brain gets distracted by them and it wants to check for accuracy. So here's an informal review on some video games I've played. As a disclaimer, I know how time-consuming and challenging this process can be for animation, programming, etc., and there are limitations on what can be produced. So this is an appreciation for the extra little details that manage to get through. If you're new here, hello! I'm Elan. I'm a classical pianist, composer, and teacher. I graduated with these music degrees in piano performance, most recently with a doctorate in music. If you'd like to support this channel, I have 2 albums out now to buy or stream. If you're looking for more music resources, there are links in the description. Fair warning that this is not a spoiler-free zone. There are timestamps if you want to skip on by. We're using standard A440 tuning to compare. Ratings are based solely on the music elements commented upon. Fortnite. I don't actually play Fortnite, but I have used Fortnite Creative as a music education tool. First, some items. We've got 2 grand pianos, closed lid with pedals, no interaction. They are indeed piano-shaped. Next, this player piano has seen better days, but the keyboard layout's good and it has 2 foot treadles, so also a quick visual pass. On the making music side, a giant keyboard with letter names written. Is the C a C? Yes, it is. Squares are lower octave and circles are higher octave. Harder to accurately play if you're walking or jumping on the keys, but it works. There's a similar pattern for these tiles with squares versus circles to show the octave difference. This is a whole gallery, but each row is a different set of sounds. Last, you can make and program your own music using patchwork music devices, which I've made a few videos about. There was a discrepancy with note names being a fifth off to the pitch heard on Switch that I asked about, and they fixed it, so now everything's good on that front, but there are still some other glitches. I wrote my own music and made Bach's Prelude in C to test it out, so it can actually work. Overall, I give Fortnite Creative an accuracy rating of 14 knights. Fields of Mistria. The only piano I've found so far is this grand piano in the manor. Alas, no interaction. Lid direction is correct, keyboard layout, groupings of 1 and 2. Am I afraid of this floor candelabra being a fire hazard? Yes. This vase tipping and causing water damage? Yes. Is the overall aesthetic still cute though? Yes. There are at least a few characters who dabble in music and little reactions and performances with music notes, so I'm hoping for more music-related elements eventually since this game is still in early access. Rating so far, I overslept, but I don't have to pay a fine for not being in bed by 2 a.m. Undertale. Here's a boombox with a pun that I liked. Next, an upright piano. Keyboard layout? Yes. Pedals and shape? Yes. Interaction? We get 5 notes. A D major pentascale with a nice tone quality. I will spare you my rendition of Jingle Bells. Now here we have a grand piano. We know that canonically Undine is a pianist because she's playing piano before we walk in here. So presumably she knows what a piano should look like, but this piano is flipped. It opens to the left, which implies high to low instead of low to high. So my questions are, is she left-handed or maybe ambidextrous? Is this a custom-made piano? Her grand piano is just like waterfall upright piano goes from left to right. Was she tired of the upright? Or was the upright the custom-made? Was she tired of the puzzle? Or was the upright the custom? From what I've played so far, I give this a 9 out of 10. Lost and Found Co. This is a hidden object adventure game with only a short demo at the moment. Here are some colorful notes written correctly. Artwork is cute. So far it's good. We'll see how it goes. Florence. A lovely little interactive story. Finding the source of the music is very relatable. This Academy logo appears a few times. It has a 4-line staff with a treble clef. The staff is missing a line, unless it's meant to represent plain chant, but then the treble clef shouldn't be there, so perhaps they did this for stylistic purposes. I like this use of transition from past to present with the same mechanic to reveal. The notation here is fine. Rating as short and sweet and sour. When the past was around. Plenty of music notation in this game. These are all good. I wanted to highlight these bike locks because they're very nicely done. If we're understanding this as a composer's shorthand notes, totally fine. If we're talking proper music engraving, not so much. These floating notes come around a lot. The half and eighth notes are fine. The space between these 16th note beams should be transparent though. This eighth with empty note head can actually exist. Had to do a bit of research, but French Baroque composer Marc-Antoine Charpentier used croche blanche or void notation. Now, what I got curious about was identifying what piano model this is. Please allow me to nerd out a bit. We're going to ignore this keyboard layout. So we have an ornate music desk, carvings on these legs, 2 pedals, no backstay, 1 stick, and cup. The cheeks are curved, so likely post-1820s. What piqued my interest was this rim is square and not curved, so the stick is in the corner. If you look at a modern Grand, this bent side is curved. So I was thinking maybe it's an Erard or a Broadwood. However, the lid props I've seen on Erard are usually closer to the edge when it's square. Normally there's also a front part to the lid that's folded when open. It's not drawn here. I went down the list of piano manufacturers, thought maybe a Bechstein because they were around in the 1800s and had fancy carvings. Scrolled their Instagram for a while and stumbled across this. Here we have a C. Bechstein circa 1893 and some information about this approximately 7'2" instrument. I realized after the fact that I could have probably Google image searched grand piano, scrolled a while, but where's the fun in that? Anyhow, interacting brings you to this layout. Everything looks and sounds good. C through B. Wrapping this up and giving bonus points for getting distracted and learning new things. Awesome. Spiritfarer. I was hopeful because the staff looked promising, but then quickly realized the pitches don't match consistently. I've transcribed what they have on screen. Underneath are the pitches that you hear with each note. Now, the tune is only an octave in range from C to C, very on theme, and if the notes need to be kept between the lowest and highest lines of the staff for aesthetics, all it needs is a different clef. In this case, soprano clef, which is a type of C clef. They weren't too far off. Other than that, you can play music in the lounge, which is a very pleasant detail, and there are references to sheet music throughout, but no further notation from what I've spotted. This game hurt me in more ways than one, but I would play it again. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. When you're picking up an item or waiting for course selection, does anyone else hear this? The Mario Kart 64 sound effect is even closer, but still though, Bach is everywhere. I'm just going to cover Music Park, also known as Melody Motorway in some regions. Staves with treble clef as guardrails are fun, although some end with the treble clef. If you crash into them, some notes appear. These giant eighth notes come crashing down with little glowing ones. This keyboard does not play the corresponding note you drive on, but it does play a little tune. There are some other notes scattered in the course. Rating this as, I have yet to learn how to drift, but I am happy to be here. Animal Crossing New Horizons. We can create our own town tune. Only a 3-line staff, but here's the range. You can make tunes like... or maybe... Plenty of music notes around as decorations, items, and reactions. Here's a selection of album covers, one with KK Slider giving us major side-eye. This is Fugue in German, so it is spelled correctly. This music box plays your music selection, but as a music box version instead. They have this cute little DAW set up, and this chalkboard should be quite familiar. And then the keyboard instruments and benches. All interactions are single notes, and the playing technique would not be advisable. Aesthetics, though. We have synthesizer here, and this upright piano has the correct keyboard layout, 3 pedals, and the stand is open with sheet music. I haven't identified the sheet music, but it does look like the staves are paired off as though it's written specifically for piano. There's also street piano, which is painted differently. Finally, this grand piano. It has the correct keyboard layout, 3 pedals, lyre, backstay, the music desk and shelf, full-sized lid stick, 2 cups, so if there were a half stick, you could theoretically have it at the appropriate setting so it doesn't collapse. The lid's been folded. They even drew the strings on the inside with as many of the dampers that could fit, and all the little pins. So thank you to the artist who did this. I will keep admiring it. It is so pretty. I rate this as, you owe Tom Nook nothing. You have all the bells you'd ever want and a blue rose sponge with absolutely no effort. Wonderful. There are plenty of games that feature keyboard instruments or music notation that I have not played yet, so please let me know in the comments if you have any favorites for me to check out or if I missed anything from today's selection. Very few of these things I noticed bring me out of game immersion completely unless I get very distracted and go down a research rabbit hole. I think it's just a nice bonus when they get details right, and I appreciate the care and attention that goes into it. That's the end of today's lineup. If you'd like to support this channel, I have 2 albums out now to buy or stream. 3rd and 4th ones are in the works. If you're looking for music resources such as this music theory zine or more ways to contribute, there are links in the description. As always, thanks for watching and happy music making.